everyone, Wayne from the CERN Earth and Space Center here. In today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at what we can find in the sky during the night in the month of August. So we'll load up our sky simulator and take a closer look at some of the stars, shapes, and objects that we can see right now. So here we are, standing in front of the CERN Earth and Space Center at Triton College in River Grove, Illinois. We have our date set for the middle of the month, August 15th, and our time is set for 10 o'clock at night, which is about 2 hours after sunset, and that is the best time to go out and take a look because the sky will be nice and dark for you to see all of these cool objects that I'll be pointing out to you today. We're facing here towards the west, looking at the building of the CERN Earth and Space Center, and we'll start on this side and work our way across. Just above us to the west here, we have a very bright star. And this is the star Arcturus in the constellation of Boötes, the herdsman. He's one of the springtime constellations, late spring, early summer, and he's moved all the way across the sky as we head towards the end of summer. He is not going to be visible for too much longer. You have another couple weeks to see this nice big ice cream cone in the sky here in the last few days of summer that we have. If we continue working our way up across the sky, we'll come to some other bright stars. Just above Boötes, we have this weird sort of spider-looking shape. That is Hercules, the great warrior. I'll bring up the artwork here so we can see both of them. We have Boötes, the herdsman, and then Hercules fighting against the snakes up there in the sky. So those are both going to be pretty visible. Hercules is a little bit harder to find up there because his stars aren't quite so bright. But if you find Boötes and that bright star Arcturus, then you know you just need to look a little bit higher up and you will find Hercules. And then if we keep moving our way higher up and across the sky, we'll sort of turn our way a little bit here. We'll find the bright star of Vega in Lyra the harp, and that is one of the corners of our summer triangle. We can see the other two corners here with Aquila the eagle, and higher up then, almost directly up in the sky, we have Deneb in Cygnus the swan. So we have Boötes, Hercules, and then the summer triangle, the three constellations in there. And then coming up in the eastern part of the sky, we had the triangle, now we also have the square coming up. These four bright stars make up part of the great square of Pegasus, the flying horse. So we can see flying up out of the sky here. You have the head, the neck. The square is the front half of the body, and then the two front legs sticking out up into the sky. So Pegasus is a fall constellation. It will become more visible as we go deeper into the fall, and it is part of one of the best stories in the sky, but we'll wait a month or two before we go into that in any depth, because it's a really cool story that uses a lot more constellations, some of which aren't quite visible yet. So these are some of the bright stars that we have in the sky, and their shapes that go along with them. But stars aren't the only things that we can see. We do also have a nice bright quarter moon here on the 15th, and that will change throughout the month. But there are also a couple of planets that we can see here. Towards the south, we'll see Sagittarius right over here, almost directly to the south. And then a little bit almost directly towards the southeast, we have two very bright objects, and those are not stars, those are planets. You can see both Jupiter and Saturn. Let me bring up their labels. Here we go. Let's get rid of all of our star shapes as well. And so you can see both Jupiter and Saturn, they're going to be very close to each other in the sky. Jupiter will be a little bit brighter than Saturn is, but both of them will be visible to the naked eye. And for both of these, since they're such large gas giant planets, if you have a nice backyard telescope or even a good set of binoculars, definitely take a look at those two objects. I can show you what it looks like through that sort of backyard telescope. Let's start with Saturn, which we can see here in Capricorn right there, but let's get rid of all of our lines. We don't want anything distracting us. And if we look at Saturn through a telescope, then we'll see, well, we can see some of its moons around it. But if you have a halfway decent telescope, you can kind of see it here where it has this little sort of line across the center that bows out a little bit. I can zoom in to show you what it looks like a little bit better. Through that telescope, you can start to see the rings around Saturn. You don't need a super powered telescope to see those. even a very good set of binoculars, you'll start to be able to see them, and a halfway decent telescope, even in the light-polluted areas around major cities like Chicago, you can still see those beautiful rings that go around that planet. Jupiter also looks very cool through a telescope. Let us take a look at that one. Now with Jupiter, let's just zoom in right here. Jupiter, you'll be able to see some of its bright moons. They're called the Galilean moons. We can see their names here. We have Io, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. And those were the 4 moons that were first discovered around the planet Jupiter. They were discovered by Galileo Galilei with his very rudimentary telescope, so they're very easy to see. Even with, again, a nice set of binoculars, you can find them, and you might even be able to see the beautiful banded structure of the clouds through Jupiter. And if it happens to be facing the right way, then you might even be able to see the Great Red Spot on its surface. And that's a giant hurricane that's been going for hundreds of years in the atmosphere of Jupiter. So you might be able to see that as well. So definitely take a look at those 2 objects, whether it's with just your own eyes or using some sort of lens like a binoculars or a telescope. They are fantastic to see, and they are just rising up out of the southeast. So we'll have those throughout the end of summer into and throughout the fall. You'll be able to find them until early winter when they'll start to disappear on the western side of the sky. Well, thank you everyone for joining me and looking at our night skies during the month of August. Again, my name is Wayne from the CERN Earth and Space Center. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Remember to like and subscribe for more of our weekly space content. And most importantly, remember to get out there and take a look at your nighttime skies.